going on, everybody? This is Brandon down here at Snake River Fly. I got another fly tying tutorial for you, and I'm going to talk about some concepts that we've kind of been utilizing for the past few years and seeing a few other folks out there using them as well. And it's a very, very efficient way for early season smallmouth bass. You know, water temps maybe not there. Fish are coming out of their deep lies, coming up into the shallows, right? Starting to think about that pre-spawn. And so we've more or less been bobber bassing is what we've been calling it, but fishing various leeches, minnows, different things like that you can kind of hold right in front of those fish. And you know, where they are a little more lethargic, it gives them the ability to sit there and stare at that offering. But then also utilizing it in the aspect of casting your rig out there, right? You let it sink and then actually stripping it back. Phil Rowley did an awesome thing on this, fish and balance leeches on Henry's Lake, you know, years ago, but now implementing that with a few different patterns on our rivers and stuff, and just kind of slow stripping that bug back. Like I said, you're holding it in their face a little bit longer, allowing those fish to kind of have time to eat it. And then also, if you're streamer fishing for them, when you need to be low and slow, you lose way less flies this way, especially if you're fishing the snake. That lava rock down there is super grabby, and if I could have every fly that I've lost, you know, even in the last year, I probably would never have to tie flies again. But this one right here is a balance leech variation. Kind of a few different flies that I've seen over the years that have kind of molded into this one here. The stanky leg fly from Fly Fish Food is the inspiration, you know, tail wise, and I'll talk a little bit of that when I get in there. And then, you know, some of our products and just basically stealing things from some of our other balance leeches into this one that has proven very effective for these early season bass here. So hook that I have in the vise is a Moonlit. This is a number 6 in their 511 series. Gives you a little longer shank here, the wicked sharp hook here as well. The other thing is we've got our balance already set up. This is a 4mm tungsten bead, and then one of these large ruby beads, just as that hot spot there. Switch that up, play around with it. Red's always been one of my favorite colors, and so to start, we got that all assembled, but we're gonna take some of our laser legs. This is one of my all-time favorite colors. This is our blue craw. It'll actually change to an olive in the light, so it kind of has a cool color shift there. But we're going to take one of those tabs. This is I've taken a full tab of 4 legs, or 4 legs off of that, cut it in half evenly, and we're going to tie this in for our tail. And so just starting that off the back of the hook here, wrapping that up to the base of where our pin is. And then we're going to fold that over, so we'll have a total of 8 legs, making up our tail off the back. And then we'll come in and trim those guys as close as we can so they all open up. So not only does this give it a ton of movement, it also gives you a kind of like, you know, tubes. Tube baits that are fished for smallmouth and other bass are very, very effective. This kind of gives you that level riding tube kind of look, but with some softer materials, a little more realism, a little more movement. The other thing that's cool about these silicone legs like this is they do have some neutral buoyancy, right? So if you're fishing a really slow pocket of water, these are actually going to stay nice and stiff, and they're going to actually add a little bit of movement to themselves because they want to rise, and so they add that extra bounce, fling, whatever you want to call it, as you're stripping this thing back, or when they're at rest, you know, they're going to constantly just be, you know, kind of tickling, moving, if you will. Next portion here, we're going to grab some of our burnt toast club dub, and we're just going to noodle dub this onto our thread. And we're going to wrap this up the body here to about the halfway, maybe just a touch past, just with some touching wraps here. Kind of going for a, you know, small craw. Also can be, you know, a lot of your other minnows. This has been one of my favorite color combinations for the smallies. Not just early season either. You know, this is a bug that'll work, you know, year round. But has been one of my favorite early season color combos here. So bring that up to, you know, a little past that halfway point. And so the next material that we're going to add to this is some of our hydro hackle in chocolate. We're going to create a little more bulk up here, but I like bringing or tying this in up here just because the hydro hackle is a little bit longer. If you tie it in here in the back, it definitely will overpower your legs a little bit and kind of it'll all bleed into one thing. So this just adds some really nice taper and some extra movement up front. So I've just attached that hydro hackle here to the side of the hook closest to me. Hanging out the back, we're gonna take some more of that burnt toast club dub, noodle dub that on there, and then fill in the rest of this up to behind our glass bead here. Ooh, got a little squirrely. There, and then we'll take this hydro hackle and we're just gonna palmer it, one wrap right there on top of each other at that tie-in point, and then we're gonna jump those wraps, leaving a little bit of a gap in between them until I get right behind the bead, and then one full rotation behind that bead just to kind of fill it out. A couple catching wraps there to secure that. Clip that guy out. A few cleanup wraps now. Then we'll take just a little bit more of that dubbing just to fill in our gap right there behind the eye, or behind the bead, I should say. And then we can come in and whip finish. It's also a really good trout bug. I mean, got plenty of trout on it as well, but I guess the main focus of this is talking about, you know, targeting these smallmouth as they're starting to come up. You know, they're a little lethargic, the water's still a little cold. They're looking for that thing that's gonna hang right in the zone, and something that you can fish underneath that indicator like a streamer, but being able to keep it out of the rocks, keep it in the kill box longer, and more or less generate more eats and more fish, two-hand kind of thing. So like I said, a bunch of different color schemes that you can do here. You know, there's some wines and reds, you know, some olive and whites through here, golds and olives. So a million ways to skin the cat. I mean, 37 something different colors of hydro, a bunch of legs, bunch of club dubs that you can go from there. So definitely give this one a look. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the thumbs up, all that good jazz. It is very, very much appreciated. It helps us out a ton. You can find all these materials at snakeriverfly.com, and we appreciate you guys watching. Happy fishing.